Oh, right, it's Christopher Fox once again. And this is a request this time from Tired Pizza Tyler123. And the name of his video is 7 Horror Characters Inspired by Real Events. So it's interesting, so let's check it out. Yay.
Horror movies like I do, you might find what I'm about to tell you unsettling at best. Horror movies are entertaining because they're fictional. Some of the best ones, like Halloween, Scream, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Oh, yeah.
introduced us to Michael Myers, Ghostface, and Leatherface, respectively. They're fun to watch because they give us a jump and show us the extreme evil that doesn't actually exist. Or does it? As it turns out, many fictional movie characters aren't fiction at all, but were actually based on real people and real events.
Oh my god.
After this, you'll never look at your favorite horror movie villain the same again.
Don't hurt me, Megan. Hope this doesn't fuck up my love of horror films. It probably won't. Pennywise?
Here are 7 horror characters inspired by real events. Number
Let's get
7 is Leatherface. The Texas
I knew this one
Chainsaw
was
Massacre
real.
was introduced
I
in
heard about this one.
1974 and since has become a horror classic. The film is about a group of friends who become victims to a family of cannibals on their way to an old homestead.
It's a classic.
They become victims specifically to Bubba or Leatherface, who wore the faces of his victims on his own. But while the movie and its characters are fictional, the story is actually based on the notorious 1950s Wisconsin murderer Ed Gein. Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield or the Plainfield Ghoul, was arrested for 2 murders and suspected of 7 more, and was also charged with mutilating 9 bodies that he dug up from graves. He used their bodies to fashion a wastebasket, lampshades, and masks made of their skin and faces. He even placed human skulls on his bedposts, stitched together a belt made of nipples.
Nipples? What the I bet that shit stunk to high heaven in that house of his.
And collected other body parts as trophies. He was the original Leatherface. Number 6 is Ghostface. Scream was introduced in 1996 and since has become a staple in horror culture that has spawned multiple sequels. It follows
and a requel.
Sidney Prescott and her friends, who become the targets of a mysterious killer in a Halloween costume known as Ghostface. Ghostface was based on a real-life serial killer named Danny Rolling, aka the Gainesville Ripper. He murdered 5 students in Gainesville, Florida over 4 days in August of 1990, as well as a triple homicide in his home city of Shreveport, Louisiana, and in total confessed to killing 8 people. He was known for his style of using a knife to brutally execute his victims, which inspired the killing style of the Ghostface. Number 5 is Hannibal Lecter. Silence of the Lambs was introduced in 1991. It features Clarice Starling, a young FBI trainee who's hunting a serial killer known as Buffalo Bill, and, in offset to catch him, seeks the advice of the imprisoned Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a brilliant psychiatrist and cannibalistic serial killer. As it turns out, the character of Dr. Lecter was directly inspired by a little-known Mexican murderer named Alfredo Trevino. Trevino was a doctor who was interviewed by Thomas Harris, the original writer of the novel that the movie was based upon. While doing research at the Nuevo Leon's Topo Chico Penitentiary, Harris saw Trevino save the life of an inmate. It wasn't until Harris was leaving the prison that he discovered that the doctor was actually one of the prisoners, convicted of slashing his lover with a screwdriver into pieces small enough that they would fit into a small box. This became the inspiration for Hannibal Lecter. Number 4 is Regan McNeil.
And this one was real too. I heard about this one.
Follows the demonic possession of a young girl named Regan McNeil and her mother's attempt to rescue her through an exorcism conducted by a pair of Catholic priests. This movie has always been one of the scariest movies ever made, in my opinion. But what makes it even scarier is that Regan McNeil's exorcism was based on the real-life exorcism of a boy named Roland Doe.
Yeah, I knew about that. It's crazy shit. I saw a documentary on that shit. It was fucking creepy.
To cure him of demonic possession in the 1940s. Like Regan McNeil in the movie and the novel it was based upon, Roland reportedly spoke in a gravelly voice and would demonically throw furniture and objects around the room. During 2 separate exorcisms, the boy became violent, breaking the nose of one of the priests and breaking out of his arm restraints, and even stabbed the other priest with a sharp object. Number 3 is Freddy Krueger. A Nightmare on Elm Street
was Freddy based on a true story?
And is about several Midwestern teenagers who fall prey to Freddy Krueger, a disfigured supernatural killer who stalks and kills teenagers in their dreams, which in turn kills them in real life. Director Wes Craven was inspired to create the story of Krueger and his dream power after reading newspaper articles printed in the Los Angeles Times in the 1970s. The articles were about refugees who fled to the US because of war and genocide in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, and suffered disturbing nightmares so terrifying they refused to sleep. Multiple men and women who finally fell asleep after exhaustion ended up dying in their sleep.
Jesus Christ, that's creepy.
Pennywise. Stephen King's It, released in 1990, revolves around
I bet this is about John Wayne Gacy.
Group of kids who discover and vow to destroy an interdimensional predatory life form named It, which has the ability to transform itself into its prey's worst fears, specifically a sadistic, wisecracking clown called Pennywise the Dancing Clown. It was inspired by a real-life serial killer named John Wayne Gacy, who tortured and murdered at least 33 young men and boys,
disturbing as hell,
of which were buried in the crawl space of his home. Gacy regularly performed at children's hospitals and charitable events as Pogo the Clown or Patches the Clown. He became known as the Killer Clown due to his public services as a clown prior to the discovery of his crimes. His story, as well as both the movie and novel It, have greatly contributed to increased coulrophobia in our society.
You motherfucker. Fucking.
And number 1 is Michael Myers.
Michael Myers is number 1? Who knew?
Is arguably the most famous horror franchise of all time, inspiring an entire genre of horror movies and knockoff franchises. On Halloween night in 1963, 6-year-old Michael Myers brutally murders his 17-year-old sister, Judith Myers. He's sentenced and locked away for 15 years, but reemerges on October 30th, 1978 as a 21-year-old man after escaping while being transferred to a court date, and returns to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, waiting for his next victim. Director John Carpenter revealed that the main inspiration for Myers came from a class visit to a mental institution while attending Western Kentucky University, where he visited the most seriously mentally ill patients, one of which was a young boy around the age of 12 or 13, who, according to Carpenter, had the devil's eyes. This became the inspiration for the dark, lifeless eyes behind the mask of Michael Myers, who would go on to become one of the most iconic horror movie characters of all time. Thank you guys for watching this.
Wow.
And I actually have some good news today. After a year and a half, I have officially re-enabled channel memberships. There are currently 3 tiers, and each tier gives you additional benefits like early access to my videos, discounts on merchandise, and we can add each other to social media. If you're interested in getting more out of my channel and my content, click the join button beside the subscribe button and check it out. Other than that, be sure to add me to all the things. All the links are in the description below, and I will see you next weekend. Thanks for watching.
Those were some creepy ones, man. The one that got me was a Chainsaw Massacre one. That one was messed up. Yeah, I might upload one more video because I did get some new stuff today, so I want to show you guys that real quick. But that might be it after that. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care. See you on the next video. Peace out.